Hey, I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally, and I am hoping that you had a great Thanksgiving and life is good. So let's start the day off with a little humor. Thank you so much, Kathy, because yeah, it's true. They have us really well trained. But I love this. I love this cartoon. So thanks for putting it up there. Um, let's see what we got going on today. Mr. Willie is hanging in there. Um, he does look very dashing in his jacket. So I'm glad he had some energy to get up and get rolling. And we're just hanging in day by day. So, Jamie, we're right there with you. Let's see what else we got today. And I'm sorry we got slack about getting the video link up. So here it is. All right. May is having success. She's got green beans and pork down. Sorry to hear about your partner's brother's funeral. Hope that is okay, as well as it can be. And yes, when you get back, then what I would do is test the cauliflower and see if you can now make a batch with pork, green beans, and cauliflower. So yes, I would do that, and I would do it for a couple of days, and then maybe intersperse something else you know it is good. So that's good. And then May, I think there's another question. Um, and it's okay. Like if one day you've got a meal left of one batch and you got to use another batch for the second meal, that's okay to switch and swap it. Because what our goal is to get Mr. Spirit back to eating without having any consequences, so to speak. So hopefully that makes sense. But yes, so I would test your pork batch for a day or so, make sure that's okay, and then you can rotate in the salmon, and I think bison was the other thing that was going to work for you. And let me see here. Pop back over here. Um, I know we've got. Man, I hate it when I do this. I know we've got another question. Oh, that's why, because it's spread out. From Sherry about supplements. So let me set this up so it makes a little more sense. So Sherry's pup Princess has been having a lot of health issues, and so she's using the 2 a day as her base. And then we also discussed adding in a B supplement called liposomal B Supreme. And Sherry, yes, this is going to be higher B doses than what is required for maintenance. So if we look at a label of the original Crock-Pot Diet Holistic Total Body Support, we've got thiamine, riboflavin, pantothenic B6, and niacin. So they're like 5 and 3 milligrams per day. Now, you're going to have doses substantially higher here. So with the 2 a day, I would start with something like instead of a half a capsule, probably a quarter capsule. So that's going to take you down to 25% of this, so 50 milligrams. So that's about 12 and a half milligrams. And this is already higher than what would be normally called for maintenance. And remember, maintenance means minimum requirements. Because Princess has been so stressed, I would add this liposomal B in, and this is per 2 pumps, so 1 ml. So what I would do is start with literally a quarter of a pump and add that in. So do this once a day and then do this a second time a day. The other thing is this has some milk thistle in it, and it's not going to be a lot, but it will be some, and that will help support her liver enzyme issue. So I hope that makes sense. Let's see, let me come back up here. Um, Melanie is a recent consultation client, and her baby is really just having a heck of a time. So you kind of got two ways to go. You can continue to try to find a way to do this topically, and that's getting tough because she's such a big girl. Um, it's going to be tough to get it under control. So what you could do is also look at something like, and this will sound maybe a little bit crazy, but something like Desitin on the spots that are really bad. Although I have a feeling she's got enough of them that she'd be kind of wiping Desitin all over the place. And then you could also look at something like calamine, which will help kind of dry things up a little bit. But the idea there is that you're going to help break down the bacterial cell walls by drying them out a little bit. So I would try that first for a couple of days and see if you make some headway. If you don't, then you can always go back to the antibiotics. But I think the more you can do topically, the better off she's going to be. And then the other thing too is because she's had multiple doses of antibiotics, please do ask them to make sure to do a culture and sensitivity and make sure that it is not something like MRSA staph. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. So we got Jamie's, and Mr. Willie gets to have a Bicom treatment today, and then also hopefully some acupuncture on the way back as well. Get things moving. And I think that is it for today. There is something I did want to talk with you about, and I mentioned this on the Crockpet Diet broadcast. Aside from really interesting research showing that the dog and human genome have really evolved sort of side by side. And so our ability to digest starch has developed over time, as has dogs. And so it's interesting. One of the arguments for raw is that dogs don't produce salivary amylase. Well, that's true. But they also tend to literally inhale their food, gulp it in by big mouths. So they don't chew and masticate and have um, a lot of saliva around the food itself, although when they eat cooked food, that seems to help a bit better. So, but where they do have a lot of amylase, which is the enzyme that digests starch, is from the pancreas. They are able to put out something like 2 to 3x what we do when we eat food because we're relying on salivary amylase. And also the pH in the stomach tends to go much lower than ours does. And then lastly, what we all tend to forget about, including me, is that there are enzymes on the small intestine brush border. So where those little finger-like projections are, that's considered the brush border. And so the cells are producing enzymes there. So that whole idea of raw being better because the enzymes are not destroyed really is a fallacy. There is sufficient digestive enzymes present. And then another topic that was discussed was that, and this is kind of something I've arrived to myself, is that if we give digestive enzymes on a daily basis, then the pancreas gets lazy. It doesn't produce the enzymes, and then suddenly it really can't produce the enzymes. So using digestive enzymes may be useful to kind of get things kick-started, but once digestion is starting to improve, we really should titrate down those digestive enzyme doses. And I think that will kind of help everybody's digestion get better. Now, the thing that I wanted to talk to you about is, let me get back here, see if I can find it, is the American Holistic Veterinary Medical Association. If you're not familiar with this group, you owe them a debt of gratitude because this is the group that has stood up for us against the VMA. So this is the AH Holistic VMA, and finally kept persisting and persisting and persisting until the AVMA said, okay, you guys really probably do know what you're doing. But they are the ones that have provided education for veterinarians for decades in the alternative and complementary, what we used to call it complementary medicine or natural medicines. So they're so crucial. And like everything, they are suffering with COVID. They thought they were going to be able to put on a live conference in September, and COVID cases had jacked back up in the US. And so they had just a huge number of cancellations, and they lost a bundle of money. So I have already sent them a sizable check because they support holistic veterinarians and help us keep our nose clean legally, so to speak. And they also support research into alternative treatments and help support the professionals that are practicing within this domain. So, not that a tax-free donation makes much difference anymore for our taxes. If you've got 5, 10, $20, whatever you can give them. If you click this donate now button, I think it takes you to a PayPal page. But they really, really, really need the help from all of us because they truly have supported us and allowed holistic medical options to flourish within the last 5 to 10 years after just getting hammered and many of their members being threatened by lawsuits and things of that nature by practitioners that didn't understand or felt threatened by what they do. So if you can help them out because they need the help. Um, they are at least $120,000 in the whole. Their appeal to their membership has only yielded so far about 16,000, and I'm a good chunk of that. So they really need some help from the clients whose pets benefit from their members' services. So that's what I have for you this week. We are going to be live tomorrow evening at 5, and actually we need to go back and review kind of the suggestions you had on different time frames for the ultimate monthly um, conversation. And so one of the things that came up was inflammation. And so what I'll do is go back through, review concepts of inflammation, some of which are very new within the last 2 years on the human side. And we'll talk about why inflammation gets out of control and why it's so hard for people and animals that have chronic disease and or autoimmune disease and or cancer to get the inflammation back under control. So that's what I've got for you this week. Much love to everybody. I hope that the season is treating you right, and I'm not sure why there's nobody on except for maybe we really screwed up in getting that notice out too late. So take good care, and until next week, remember to give everybody a big hug and a kiss for me. Thanks so much. I'm Dr. Ruth Roberts, your pet's ally.